A number of mysterious ghost ships have been washing up in Japan, and the origin of these ships is likely to be North Korea. Now, more and more of these ships are coming up, and unfortunately, they're full of dead bodies. They're assuming that the dead bodies are fishermen from North Korea. Now, in 2011, 57 of these ships were found. In 2012, it was around 47. And in 2013, 80 washed up or were found floating at sea. Now again, all of these ships contain dead bodies, but it's unclear how many bodies in total. In 2014, 65 were found, and the count so far this year is 34. That's a total of 283 boats in 5 years. However, the Coast Guard hasn't disclosed how many bodies were on board. Now, the reason why this is starting to get some traction in the media is because 12 of these so-called ghost ships have washed up in the last 5 weeks. So it's happening more and more often. And so when I first read this story, I thought, well, it's obvious. These are North Korean defectors. They're trying to get the hell away from that terrible place. But there's also some suspicion that Kim Jong-un wanted to increase the number of fish being caught by fishermen. So what they're doing is they're going off further into the sea or the ocean. And when they do that, they actually put themselves in much riskier situations with these very flimsy boats.
There's so many things about this story that I love that are, I'm sorry for the results. But like you just said, and it's indicated here that this only recently became a story because what was it, 5 and 12 days or 12 and 5 days? How is this not a huge story before?
Yeah,
how is the
crazy.
arrival of one mysterious boat filled with dead fishermen not a story all by itself? I'm instantly reading that story.
Yeah.
A boat showed up in Japan with 12 dead fishermen on it. We don't know where it's from. Really? Let me read more. And you're telling me there have been 300 or some odd of these since 2000? That's amazing.
Yeah, and by the way, it wasn't clear that they were all fishermen, so it was in fact even more mysterious.
Right. Yeah.
Like, and it wasn't even clear that they were from North Korea. There's Korean writing on the ships, on some of the ships, and they're not coming from South Korea, so that's how they pieced it together. But in the beginning, it was an even bigger mystery. All these ghost ships show up.
But wouldn't one time a ship arrive with 8 dead people and 3 survivors?
Yeah, isn't that also amazing?
Like,
that's right.
So that tells me that no, something else is. I mean, the distance between North Korea and Japan is I have no idea, and neither do you. But it's not they don't have to traverse the world, right?
Right. You'd think that some way
somebody be like, oh, I'm so thirsty, but I lived and my friends died.
Yeah, I saw that movie where the guy is on the boat with the tiger, and he lived.
He lived, right? Totally, yeah, that's right.
So, yeah, there is a deeper mystery here. But as I thought about it more, I think the answer is probably simple, which is that whether it's, and remember, it could be Kim Jong-un lately. There's been pictures of him at a fishery bragging about how the North Koreans produce so much fish, and produce is a funny word for it, but, and that they're going to increase the amount of fish they're catching next year. But remember, it goes back to 2011. So, but the answer is still relatively simple. They're starving, right? Whether it's the government putting pressure on them to catch more fish, or it's because they need to catch fish so that their family can live, there's some sort of pressure to go further and further out, do more desperate things to get the fish and bring it back shore, and then a certain percentage of them are going to get washed out, are going to get caught in a place where they shouldn't with the currents, and going to wash up in Japan. So that led me to believe that there's an enormous number of Korean fishing ships, North Koreans, desperate for food, right? And that's what's leading to this.
Yeah. It's an amazing story, though, that just this is a thing that ghost ships turn up with bodies on board. That's amazing.
You're right, Ben. I mean, we love the movies, and so the minute I started reading the story, I was like, this is the beginning of a movie.
Yeah, that's right.
Right, like you try to figure out what happened with the ghost ships, and then you tell the rest of the story. Unfortunately, the rest of the story of what's happening in North Korea is disastrous. That's what's leading to this.